Hey everyone, so now we are joined by Phil Craig of the Cape Independence Advocacy Group. So, Phil Craig,
Hi, Anati. Nice to
um,
be with you.
yeah man, so we just came from Cluttersville now and we are now here in Stellenbosch. So, how do you feel overall?
Exhausted and exuberated. Yeah, it's been a long road getting here and getting this done, and it's taken a lot of organisation. But boy, has it been worth it! I think it's been an outstanding success. I think we've clearly made a statement now that listen, Cape Independence is here. I think we've shot through a few myths. I don't think anyone's going to come and stand here and say, yeah, it's just a white thing. I think we've blown that myth out of the water, and I think people are saying, look, you know what? Actually, it's only people on social media, and there's no real support for this. You know, and they didn't really believe the polling. Hopefully, now that we've brought Stellenbosch to a standstill, they'll start to believe that this is a real thing. People really want this. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's actually a good point that you mentioned the polling, because many people dismiss the polls, right, until they see the real thing. I mean, this was actually a good demonstration of that, because obviously many people always attack the movement for Cape Independence through racial means. They say it's a racist thing or it's a white thing. I mean, this was a good demonstration. But question is, how far will that be dispelled? Because there will always be people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, look, so you can't, look, at the end of the day, there are people who don't want this, and therefore they'll just find any reason, and if you any down one mole, it's whack-a-mole, they'll come with another reason and another reason. That doesn't matter, because it doesn't really matter what they think. Yeah, the first and the most crucial step in Cape Independence is building a bipartisan mandate so that we can get 50% plus one of people in the Western Cape to want Cape Independence, and that's the critical thing here, and therefore it doesn't really matter if there are doubters on the side. I think, the silent majority of people, and the biggest obstacle to Cape Independence is people saying it's just not possible. It would be a nice idea, but it just can't happen. And every time something like today happens, and the polling happens, and the DA change their policy, and the Freedom Front come out and start support Cape Independence, it's just another person, and all of us, and even the most desperate doubters must be starting to think, okay, maybe, just maybe this is possible. And I think that's for us. This is just we have to win this war one battle at a time. But actually, we're starting to win battles very decisively, and they're coming thick and fast. And this was a battle that we absolutely won today. So I'm very happy about it.
Well, I would like to say congratulations, because this is a victory to a certain extent. Now, with regards to the DA, because they are the provincial government, in terms of convincing them, in bringing them on the side of supporting Cape Independence, or even calling for a referendum, how close do you think the motion is to having the DA participating? Like, how close do you think?
Well, I think we've got to be realistic. I think we're probably a long way away from the DA openly endorsing Cape Independence. Yeah, we've got to understand that Cape Independence is a hot potato for the DA. They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. And in the DA themselves, in the Western Cape DA, will be people who support Cape Independence passionately, and people who are vehemently opposed to Cape Independence. So, it's not an easy call for them. So we're not really at this stage calling for the Western Cape, the Western Cape DA or the DA to support Cape Independence. We're saying to them, you're a democratic party. Just respect democracy. So allow the debate to take place. You now know that the majority, 53% of your own supporters, want Cape Independence. We know lots of your own MPs want independence. We know your councillors want independence. So not all of them. So let's have the discussion. Let this be a discussion. You come in as the government and facilitate the discussion. You don't have to pick sides, but you can't pretend it isn't going on, and that's what happens today. So you can't just pretend this isn't happening, and they're not, in fairness. We also have to give them some credit that the DA have moved. If you look in 2020, the DA has moved significantly towards self-determination. They've openly come out in favour of federalism. Just 2 weekends ago, they voted at their conference, Western Cape Conference, to make sure that the legislation is brought up to date so they can call a referendum. So clearly they're thinking in terms of a referendum, otherwise they wouldn't be resolving to fix the legislation to call that one. And behind the scenes, there's an understanding from the DA that this is a critical movement that's critical for them, and I think they've got to play that right. And I think they understand that if they don't get on board with the independence movement and at least satisfy it in some way, they're going to end up having a coalition government, and they're going to be looking at the Cape Party and the Freedom Front and others to form a coalition government, and then they're going to be brought to Cape Independence anyway. So I think they are in practice, I think, are going to be keen to avoid that. So I would say, are they there yet? No. I would be surprised if the next 3 months or 6 months the DA aren't openly discussing Cape Independence. That doesn't mean they'll be supporting Cape Independence, but the victory for us will be when members of the DA are allowed to openly say, well, listen, I'm a member of the DA and I would like to see Cape Independence, and somebody else say, well, I'm a member of the DA and I don't think it's such a good idea. And they have that discussion in public rather than behind closed doors, and I don't think we're so far away from that.
That is electric. So now, last question, where to from here? This is the same question I asked Jack. So from your side, the Cape Independence Advocacy Group, where to from here?
So look, so Cape Independence, it's a ratchet strap. We don't go backwards. We ratchet on the pressure. We ratchet on the pressure. Polling was big for us. The Freedom Front coming out in support of Cape Independence was huge because it was the political thing. Now the march, so now we're getting these things coming thick and fast, and they're changing. So where to next? Look, arrest, because this has been a lot of hard work. But for us, then probably we'll be now looking what's the next project. We did the polling project. We're doing a lot of work behind the scenes. Obviously, this was a big logistical thing, and look, clearly there'll be a lot of press that comes off of that. So probably our focus will be now getting the message out and getting and capitalising on the probably over the next month, capitalising on what's happened here, and then it'll be right back to scale one. I love if you've seen have you seen the Shawshank Redemption, the film?
I am yet to.
Oh, then you must. But there's a great scene. So the guy writes for library books. He's in the prison. He keeps writing. He writes one letter a week to get the thing. And eventually they ignore him for a few years, and they get so sick of him writing every week that eventually they send him 10 boxes of second-hand books, and he gets them to start a prison library. And the prison warder says, there you go, you've got what you want. And actually what he does is he starts writing 2 letters a week to get more books and newer books and better books, and that's where we are with Cape Independence. We've scored a victory. Now we're just going to work even harder for the next one, and there'll be other marches, there'll be other events, and actually we'll be focusing our effort on the DA as we've always done, not because we're DA supporters, we're bipartisan, but because they're the party of government and because they are the ones that can call the referendum, and we know they've now adopted federal autonomy as a policy formally, so they're a long way down the road. They want to fix this referendum. They're almost there, and we are going to pile in. And we sent a message to the DA a couple of weeks ago, and we said, look, do you really want to be fighting the independence movement tooth and nail when actually we can be standing together and fighting the ANC, who's the real enemy? And I think that's a sense that's going to prevail over the next few months.
Thank you very much, Phil Craig of the Cape Independence Advocacy Group. We very much appreciate your presence here and by gracing us here at ANN, Alternative News Network. Guys, this is where we close the news. Cheers.